Hello and welcome to John's Pass. This is the first game of the O2000 Worldwide People's Championships Week 23. And this one we got Challenger Tag Rock going with an interesting build order. First Pigeon and then Air. So with Cyber, and that just might mean Gesture or perhaps Bomber. But it'll be interesting. And this map, of course, chosen by the Challenger Tag Rock. A map that hasn't been on the ladder, but looks like Crazed did not protest. Crazed, of course, the champion, current champion. This is his second time being champion. He was, of course, beaten by Zoc. Then Zoc defended once against Crazed, but then Crazed beat him last week in a series of games which were very high quality. Actually, every single game between Crazed and Zoc was very high quality. But wasn't casted, unfortunately, for different reasons. And looks like a Bomber. First Bomber from Rock. You can see now if you want to go first Bomber, let's check out the eco for Rock. Yeah, it's got just enough power here. You have to go first Pigeon. So imagine Rock must understand this map quite well. It's an old Total Annihilation map. For all the TA fans, you might be pleasantly surprised or just surprised to see something like this, but it is, of course, the way I look at Spring Commander, it is the continuation of Total Annihilation, and it's nice to see this map here. So far Crazed here with a second Air, total of 6 speed gens for him. He has no idea about this Bomber. He's gonna find out about it pretty soon here. Let's see what happens on the first pass. So far nothing. Oh, there it is, Expanding Engineer. That was the investment of time of walking over to these 3 mask extractors is denied by Tag Rock and the other Expanding Engineers. This is always good. This is correct play, but nice dodge there from Crazed. Excellent work. Oh, no bomb there, and it was a dodge attempt once again. So Crazed paying attention, but he is 1 engineer down, 52 mass. Of course, the Bomber costs 80 mass, and a pretty crazy build order, of course. And here on the other side, we got Cillians and tanks. They're gonna be looking for any expanding engineers, and also here comes some scouts. And Navy is planned by this engineer finally when he makes it around all those mass spots. The ACU for Crazed is going to go sideways. And actually, I've never played this map. I've played it on Total Annihilation a long time ago, but I've never played it in Supreme Commander, so I have no idea. I don't know if Crazed has played it. There are civs in the middle here, and there goes that early Bomber. Looks like it only got 2 engineers, appears. Definitely paid for itself, made things kind of strange for Crazed. And now we got an air fight at Rock. Looks like he's going to get the better of Crazed there. But on this map, civs in the middle, and they're actually quite strong here. Some Tech 2 flak, Tech 1 point defenses, a lot of mass extractors, but no anti-naval in the middle. And it actually appears Rock is moving in. Oh, this is interesting. I didn't know you could do this. Actually don't know anything about this map. He's used an engineer to build a factory up on this highland. And let's see how that turns out. This engineer might be in a bit of trouble against the Tech 2 point defense. This is why Rock is sending his ACU to the middle, underwater. And early on, total air domination by Rock. Rock is trailing Crazed by about 40 power, exactly 40 power. Which should make Crazed a little better at producing air. And in terms of mass extractors, Crazed sending his ACU sideways has got a pretty big advantage. Well, he's only 2 up. He's got a big advantage on land, but on water, this engineer is at 2 mass extractors ahead. And there's also a very nice expanding engineer to the right side, and a scout and bomber looking for any expanding engineers elsewhere. So Crazed is going to be at a bit of a deficit here pretty soon in terms of mass, because the expansion has been much better for Rock. As soon as a Rock can figure out this tank right here, which should be just a simple bomber or a jester, these mass extractors should belong to Rock. And here it looks like Crazed ACU is on a long journey south. And this could actually expose Rock's base. Imagine Rock will find out about it. make some point defenses, but this could be dangerous, and also some artillery, so Tech 1 point defenses will not counter Crazed ACU. Meanwhile, this is what Rock wanted to do, and this is kind of gonna suck for Crazed. It's anti-air and artillery. If Rock was Seraphim, it would be even worse, but Cyber and artillery has the same range, just not as much accuracy. You can see this first shell didn't even hit, and not as much fire rate. So it needs a lot of bunched up units. Hitting a single target is a bit of a problem, but there's a lot more artillery coming, and some nice anti-air directly at the air production is always very annoying. So Crazed needs to solve yet another problem. Meanwhile, Rock is in the middle reclaiming the civilians. This is probably one of the reasons Rock chose this map. You need to do this trick, and that's going to be quite a bit of mass. This is going to be probably 2,000 plus mass that Rock is going to get for free. He's at 500 reclaim, 400 power, so significantly more power also than Crazed. Crazed looks like kind of stopped making power after a while. Meanwhile, Rock on a very big power spam, three engineers on a power spam, not surprisingly. And actually he's going tech to air. Rock anticipating a lot of mass from the reclaim, so he needs a lot of power to utilize it. Also Navy from Rock. He's got a frigate going sideways, also a submarine. And some Manta on the right side are going to find out about Crazed ACU. Crazed with tech to land. So tech to air versus tech to land on this map. Imagine tech to air will be a little more powerful. With tech to bombers, you can target anything that's important, like tech to power or tech to land if you really want to. But this is a big nuisance here, and this artillery can actually reach all the way to these P-gens. Something must be done. Meanwhile, Rock with all these mask structures in the middle and a lot of reclaims still left over. Rock with a significant advantage. And you can see in terms of power, he's just running away. 3 extra Tech 1 mask structures, and actually Rock never solved this problem here on the left. Looks like he didn't even care. But without any Navy, Crazed is going to lose all this property in the water. And against tech to air, he's probably going to lose everything else. But here comes a drop. Oh, and Crazed is attempting to drop some tech 2 units up on the high ledge. Unable to do so, for whatever reason. I'm sure he wanted to drop them on the ledge, but the transport just didn't do it for him. That's the not being familiar with the map. Tech 2 gunships, tech 2 power, so Rock. Yeah, looks like he got Tech 1 Navy, ACU to the middle to grab mass, and then straight to tech to air, plus this trick to be annoying. That has been the plan, and this is not where you want to be. Oh, and yeah, Crazed aborts it. Aborts that move. You can see some of this artillery is trying to shoot up. The Ilsha is shooting up as well. Not a typical battlefield here for anybody. And here actually Crazed under fire from a Tech 2 gunship. He will attempt to make some anti-air, but he's also under fire from Tech 1 land, and he cannot go into the water because, of course, actually right now he can, but eventually he won't be able to. An air fight that Rock will win, and looking at this air, it's absolutely absurd. 3 times as much power for Rock. So the power is absurd, and that will translate into absurd air. And actually this flak was finished, which is nice. Rock's ACU back home, and actually is now going to begin to take over the left side of the map. Meanwhile, Tech 1 Navy has denied most of water. And this early game, Crazed being a good sport, allowing Rock to pick this map. But of course, once the game started, you got to play it, and it doesn't look good for Crazed, so he's likely to go 1 game down. And of course, the next 2 games will be chosen by Crazed. Actually, some Tech 2 mass extractors from Crazed, which means in mass he's actually dead even with, well, not for long, with Rock. But in terms of power, big problems. And this Tech 2 land really hasn't won anything for Crazed. All those Ilshavas not doing anything. Yet another Tech 2 mask extractor. And now Crazed taking care of mask extractors. Here, middle 11, I don't really see a plan for Crazed or a winning strategy. I just see gunships forcing him into the water, and of course in the water he's likely to die either to take one subs or to torpedo bombers. I'll actually speed this up here. Yep, Crazed. These stick to bombers from Cybern. You can make an argument these are the best ones. Have a really nice splash on them. 240 mass for each one, just like with all the other factions, but they're really quite nice. How quickly they can kill massive amounts of units, and of course can also kill ACUs when ACUs have no anti-air torpedo bomber standing by. First game goes to Rock. Hello and welcome to game 2 between Rock and Crazed. And this one we're on Ambush Pass. Excellent map, but this one's been chosen by Crazed, and Crazed is also switched faction to Cybern. So we get a Cybern on Cybern battle. Rock is of course back to playing all Cybern now that they're pretty awesome. And first to land for Rock, let's check out how many mass extractor he goes for. He goes for 1 mass extractor, 5 P-gens, 2 land. And of course, Ambush Pass, a lot of mass here with these rocks, and a lot of early mass that's within. And here Crazed appears. Yeah, Rock's asking why suddenly they played with the score, which probably is just an accident in the game settings. No big deal, but of course playing with the score does give a bit of an advantage. When they're talking about score, they're talking about this white number here. They don't, of course, see the economy stats of the other player. Interesting, Crazed appears to have gone 2 mass extractors with the ACU, then 5 P-gens. Yeah, no big deal. One thing that it does, of course, depending on that score, you can spot some very weird builds. For example, first P-gen, kind of like what Rock did last time. So we're gonna be looking at the ecos from these two players, seeing if either one of them stalls. And of course, when you have unusual starting positions like this, you can really figure out the most optimal order. Can give you a very big advantage. Because if you just play standard, you'll probably be pretty good, but if you don't utilize the opportunities given to you by the early reclaim, you might be in a better trouble. So far, Crazed here, 1 PGen ahead. In terms of reclamation, 380 for Rock. Crazed at 724, so way more. And imagine if, I think this is not the first time, yeah, Crazed has chosen this map before as one of his choices. He definitely has it worked out. And of course, he is 1 game down, and you do not want to go 2 games down in this format because it's a best of 5, and going 0-2 means you need to win the next 3 in a row. We have had, of course, great comebacks in this tourney in O2000 with Voodoo, who has defended O2000 5 times in a row, but after being beaten actually by Crazed, where we first saw the absolute domination of Cybern over EAF. It's a little sad that those are the circumstances that Voodoo got beaten by, but I mean, Crazed played him so many times, and I think in quite a few opportunities, quite a few games, he did outplay him. And yeah, I probably shouldn't be lamenting like this, since Voodoo himself never made any laments about such things. I mean, he always says GG no matter what. First 3 land. No sign of air from either player. Actually, there is going to be eventually. And of course, on this map, very important to see where the 2 ACUs are going to be sent, and they're going to be sent in opposite directions. As Rock got in a fight with some civs, so he's going to get a little reclaim. That's interesting. Usually people don't fight civs early because it's could be a little dangerous, but of course with Cybern, with a quick regeneration, it might actually be much more feasible. Now let's check out Rock. Now it's at 1200 reclaim, Crazed at only 950. So about 250 extra, and that's another 250. So it could be an extra 500 reclaim that Rock just got for himself. Of course, this ACU is a bit out of position. This engineer is a bit exposed. And elsewhere, going to see yet another land factory for Crazed. Also a good looking radar here for Crazed. Position of radar on 5x5 maps is one of the most critical things that can happen, because that really determines whether or not your moves are going to make sense or not. And here Crazed stalling quite badly. Crazed way ahead in terms of power, but this is a massive stall that he's got going on. But he now is going to have quite a few more mass extractors. He's actually ahead by quite a rather large number. Let's check out what Crazed can see where his radar is. His radar is in the other corner. So we can see how this map has been diagonally divided, and actually Rock moving in quite hard. But Rock is at a deficit. But he's not stalling because he got all that huge early reclaim. So I think this really shows how important reclaim is. It can really allow you to not get map control nearly as fast. But one thing we got to remember, reclaim is something you get for one moment. Mass extractor will give you mass over a long period of time and won't ever stop. So at a short term, reclaim is huge, but in the long term, mass extractors will always win. And here we got some point defenses from Rock, anticipating Crazed to be coming in. There's also a radar coming up for Rock, and both players. This is what usually happens on this map. Nearly every game, each players begin to chase each other in a corner, in a circle, and oftentimes we do see base switches. But Tech 2, quick Tech 2 from Crazed. This is nice. Tech 2 point defense is going up for Crazed. Yet another one going up. Each one of these 450 mass. Actually does less damage per second than a Tech 1 point defense, but has over twice as much range. We're also seeing some Rhinos. Rhinos gotta avoid the ACU of Rock. And now both players very similar power. Seeing power storage for Rock, so he will be able to take on Tech 2 quite nicely. And Tech 2 mass extractors for Rock. Rock with that Tech 2 mass extractor actually has a significant advantage in terms of mass income. He's got +6, and that's the difference. Investing into a Tech 2 land factory versus investing into a Tech 2 mass extractor. Tech versus extra eco and total air domination also by Rock. But so far it's just been scouts. And of course I totally forgot to say, since Zoc beat Crazed, every single O2000 final has been played with NG mod. In case people are not familiar, it makes changes. Here we can see this is a HQ factory making Rhinos. If click on this factory now, Crazed can do a Tech 2 land upgrade. He can either make a HQ or he can make a regular Tech 2 land factory, but only for 300 mass. The cost of an HQ is the same as the Tech 2 land upgrade in the past, in the original game. But here, basically, instead of making engineers to assist your factory, you can make basically a secondary Tech 2 land factory. And this has changed the game in this NG mod. I guess NG mod, whatever the heck that is, game mode. There's been a lot more Tech 2 and Tech 3 land spam. Something we just might see in here. These Manti from Rock absolutely demolishing four mass extractor, and Rock here in a very good position. Although this is Tech 2 versus Tech 1. The Rhinos are going to take care of Manti very, very quickly on that position. Also seeing finally air from Crazed. Rock once again running away with power here. Although, looks like Crazed catching up. But in terms of mass, so much more mass for Rock. Not surprisingly, given all this denial plus Tech 2 mass extractors. But we got multiple Tech 2 forces on either side from Crazed pushing Rock back. Although Rock here with a Tech 2 point defense, Tech 2 engineer here, plus the ACU. So unlikely Crazed will make much progress on the left side. And also we're seeing mobile missile launchers from Rock. Let's see which player is better at utilizing Tech 2. And a cruise missile launcher here from Crazed has already got one missile. This will be very interesting. 180 mass per missile, 700 mass for the launcher. But sniping, this Tech 2 factory, or this Tech 2 mass extractor, of course, takes two missiles. And here comes a TMD. Rock, of course, with scouts all game, and here come the missiles. Where does this one go? Tech 2 mass extractor, there it goes. So excellent missile. TMD, about 240 mass, I believe, is not finished yet. Once that TMD goes up, though, see if it's in time. Oh, that was just the Tech 1 that was destroyed. So Tech 2 mass extractor force did leave a nice wreck. Good pressure from Crazed. And now a couple of these rhinos are going to be denied. Some Tech 2 point defenses from Rock. So on this side here, Crazed in total domination. Although these rhinos need to retreat. This is good artillery from Rock. Here, minute 10. Looks like a very secure position for Rock on the left side. A couple Tech 2 point defenses. Unless Crazed goes to some mobile missile launchers. And Rock does have the opportunity to take the ACU, push past this force, get a nice position to retreat to. Also getting some TMD will be very important, because now that there's TMD in the middle for Rock, this will be the next best. Oh, let's see if this missile can do anything. This is the power of Cybern missiles. See, they got shot and that just took out the TMD. Yep, Cybern is very good. The best missiles in the game. He could have not done that with any other missile in the game. It did get shot by TMD, but it just forced through. Of course, you could have done it against EF TMD, which sucks. But, and you could not have done that to Aeon TMD. Yeah. But Aeon TMD would be overwhelmed by multiple missiles from a mobile missile launcher with high fire rate. And so far, Rock here beginning to push back against Crazed, who is getting an upgrade. Appears to be, let's see, minus 280, which means it is the gun. So a lot more TMD for Rock. He's not rebuilding his Tech 2 mass extractor, and Crazed is actually gone ahead in terms of mass production. But both players pretty much dead even in terms of mass. In terms of reclamation, we're seeing 3,000 for Crazed and 4,400 for Rock. Rock has been a lot more active at reclaiming these civilians. Civilians on Crazed side all still alive. See Manti, Air, and it looks like this is the third Tech 2 mass extractor for Crazed, who has not bothered to make any TMD in his base. I'm not sure if... Well, this is a lot of TMD. This is 1,000 mass now invested in TMD for Rock at his main base. So that cruise missile here had a very large effect, which has already been actually reclaimed. It did its job. Crazed is going to take his mass back. More TMDs going up, but it's still having an effect. Rock, meanwhile, has retreated, and Crazed with those scouts will take the opportunity to push back. And I think at one point Rock here was in a better position, but that missile really changed a lot. It wasn't just the fact that it took out that Tech 2 mass extractor. It was that it forced Rock to spend mass on the wrong things. And it's still a very even game. One thing we do see, maybe a little more map control for Crazed. This corner, both corners here do belong to Crazed, which means an extra mass extractor. Actually, it's going to be an extra couple mass extractors. But we might see a pretty big Tech 2 battle here on the left side. Should be an advantage though for Crazed, given the Tech 2. And if these engineers, instead of making TMD, could make Tech 2 point defenses, it'd be a lot more secure. And one unit we have not seen for Crazed has been the mobile missile launcher. This mobile missile launcher for Rock has been quite nice. Now shooting Rock's ACU. Or sorry, Crazed ACU, who has got the gun. Rock also moving into position. And now hoplites for Rock. One thing we gotta note, Crazed chose to go no hoplite. He has gone 100% Rhino, so the cheapest Tech 2 tank from Cybern. And now it appears that Crazed has gone into a full tech mode. He's upgraded every single mass extractor, which is 5 mass extractors at his main base. Still no TMD. And of course you don't have to make TMD if you scout. if you trust your scouting, you only need to make the units that you need to make. If you have to guess here, so much TMD for a rock, we can actually look and see. He has made a total of 7. Of course, he's also had some destroyed. A single TMD actually costs 280 mass. The 7 times 280, whatever that is, about 1800. Yeah, if there were 300, it would be so almost 3,000 mass invested in TMD. And TMD does absolutely nothing except protect you from missiles. And actually right now Crazed doesn't have a single unit that can shoot missiles. So it's rather sad. Instead of that, he could have made 15 Tech 2 tanks. We're also seeing stealth field for Rock. Rock really building up a defensive position on the left side. But he is in a losing position given that Crazed has got into the SimCity mode where he's not attacking and investing quite heavily into Tech 2 mass extractors. Yeah, so Rock was anticipating an attack after that missile launcher, but instead Crazed is slowly building up units and slowly building up his eco. And actually he's got, this is a secondary Tech 2 land factory. Let's check out the health here, 3,900. HQ is also 3,900. Actually no, HQ is 7,800. So twice as much. And here we're actually seeing some missiles for Crazed, shooting back and forth. Rock has got the gun as well. And Rock needs to do something, because Crazed is beginning to run away in terms of the eco. We're also seeing appears Tech 2 power and finally some TMD. For Crazed, he's beginning to mass cap his Tech 2 mass extractors. And scouting from Rock now, he's seeing that he's probably can't do much against this force here. So he's kind of stuck. He might go SimCity himself. He's now scouted Crazed main base. He's going to see a lot of Tech 2 mass extractors. Not too much that can really hurt him. He's got plenty of defensive positions. So it looks like he's going to go against the civs. The hoplites are going to... Oh, that engineer was a little too eager. Hoplites will take care of the Tech 1 point defenses though. And one thing that happens once you kill the civs in the middle, this map actually has a straight shot through the middle. And that's one thing that makes this map actually quite interesting. The battlefield changes quite drastically. If you were to run through this without killing off the Tech 1 point defenses, you'd get shredded pretty badly. But now it looks like both players taking shots at the civs. Meanwhile, Crazed beginning to move, but here Rock might get a couple nice overcharges on these hoplites. This is not what you want to do with your hoplites if you're Crazed. And of course, this game's still quite close, although now it's not even that close. Twice as much mass production for Crazed. It would take some major mistakes from Crazed, but Rock definitely not out of this game. Of course, Tech 2 with ACUs close in the battlefield, any kind of mistakes against Cybern, there are fire beetles. Now all the point defenses are dead in the middle, so the middle position is open for business. Crazed is not going to move, and one thing that means is that this is no longer really that good of a defensive base, because the force from Rock or from Crazed can move through the middle, bypass it. Although this is nice. These are actually Wagners. This is a very nice force. This force is stronger than the Rhino force that Crazed has in the middle. Seeing Tech 2 power for Rock way in the back. Rock catching up in terms of power. And Tech 3 land, and this is why it's still not an official mod. Still working on what the Tech 3 factories should look like, the HQ factory versus the regular factory. I think they only have the model for Cybern. The EF ones and other factions don't have them yet, so once those are finished, and perhaps the one for Cybern will probably look different. I don't know if this is what they want to go with. You can definitely see it. That's one of the important things about it, so you can spot which one is the HQ, which one isn't. The other way you can tell, of course, is by health. And here Wagner gets in a fight with a Tech 1 point defense and loses. And now with Tech 3 land, Crazed is going to begin to put a lot of pressure on Rock. Rock is also with Tech 3 land. And the first shells from the trebuchet. Looks like they're targeting the Tech 1 point defenses. Let's see, imagine these, oh, that was a nice splash. Stealth here will be very nice, although both players using scouts quite nicely. And it's all been trebuchets so far from both players. Seeing the second one rolling in. So far 2 for Crazed, 2 for a Rock. Rock playing on the front line here, minute 20. Oh, that was a nice one. And that looks like Crazed is in a much better position. In terms of economy and on the field, we're seeing this force here is quite formidable. Both ACUs are going to meet each other up front. And Rock really forced to fight at his base. So any of these shells from the trebuchets, a couple in here, are going to end the game because that's going to be all the build capacity for Rock. A lot of Tech 2 point defenses here hitting ground. A couple nice shells, and actually Crazed playing very dangerously. A couple fire beetles here could have probably really made things bag, but Rock fighting in his base, a brick or two would be really nice, and that's what happens. A couple shells from trebuchets directly at all the build capacity, no more build capacity for Rock. And this is now tied up. And really we gotta say it was the fact that Crazed chose the correct moment to tech. He realized Rock was going to be rebuilding and making TMDs. He knew he was safe and he had a slight map advantage, and he just multiplied that by investing into mask extractors while scouting the whole time, of course. So hopefully people enjoyed it, but yeah, well played in terms of eco from Crazed. Hello and welcome to the third game between Rock and Crazed. In this one we got via Protectorate. This one was chosen by Crazed, of course. I think this is once again one of the maps he chooses often. He is quite good on it, and this one is going to go play EEF. So far he's gone Seraphim, Cybern, and now EEF. I doubt he'll go Aeon. Aeon, the most neglected faction right now. But hopefully it gets some sort of boost. I think it's just so dangerous to play with them because they have so many weaknesses. Yeah, I guess we don't have to talk about it on this one. But on this map, especially with the NG mod, we might anticipate Tech 3 land. A lot of reclaim, a lot of mass. You can see each one of these expansions is basically the same as your initial spot. There's also a lot of rocks. Civs can be bypassed with just Tech 1 point defenses, or you can just drop an engineer in here. Of course, there is a little bit of anti-air, but quite a bit of mass, especially this dead mass fab, and a lot of mask extractors there as well. So no shortage of mass in this one. There's also these ugly trees that you can reclaim for some power. Second air from Rock. But at Tech 3 land, both Cybern and EAF by far the two best factions in that category. Of course you get the Percy, which dominates everything, and then you got the Brick, which is, I mean, in equal numbers they're very similar to the Percy. Percy does beat it a little bit, but you also have against the Percy that has low fire rate things like the fire beetles, other things you can do against it. And of course the Brick's much better at actually dispatching Tech 2 and Tech 1 swarms than the Percys. In terms of experimentals, of course, Cybern are a little more flexible with the Mega and the Spider. Spider could be quite nice. You have to have the Fatty, but it is a little weak. Here comes second air from Crazed. Single engineer already on power spam. So Crazed is going to have a little more power. He's already up a little bit. We're seeing a scout from Rock and an interceptor for Crazed. We're seeing mech marines, mostly scouts, and actually some manti for Rock. So Rock choosing not really to raid, except perhaps the manti, which will eventually make it, and just sending out scouts in both directions to see exactly what's going on. Of course, this map is usually a 2v2. Well, not usually. I mean, that's what it was meant for. Usually it is played 1v1. So there are equivalent spots. And actually for 2v2s, I'd really love it if people started hosting these via 2v2s. Could actually be quite popular, although it is a bit stressful. And here comes a bomber from Rock after the initial scouts. Be looking for any expanding engineers, and on a map that's larger like this, expanding engineer, it takes such a long time to get one out on the field. You kill it, you take away a lot of mass from the other player. And of course it also takes a lot of concentration to know which engineers got killed and where to send them, because you got to send them in a lot of different positions. But here comes an interceptor for Crazed. Question is, will it be able to kill bomber fast enough? And this engineer is now in dodging mode. Excellent. That was great stuff from Crazed. Good defense. 800 or 80 master that the ACU could have picked up if he wanted to. So first victory goes to Crazed. On the other side, we're seeing good defense from Rock, though, protecting his engineer. I think yeah, there was a couple mech marines that were going in that direction. Those didn't make it, but there are some mech marines here on the other side. Should be spotted by Rock. Rock with a major land spam, 2 engineers on the power spam, but Crazed is definitely ahead. He started that power spam much earlier. Also Crazed utilizing adjacency, something that Rock isn't doing. And so far in terms of expansion, we gotta say Crazed in a little better shape. He's sending his ACU, and the ACU for Crazed running out much faster. So far everything has gone much better, and it's really that Rock invested quite a bit in that early bomber that did not pay off. In terms of mass production, they're the same, but an advantage for Crazed in terms of power. And why is the mass income actually the same? It looks like here Crazed is a little slower than Rock was in the other expansion. But we'll see who grabs the sides, and if anybody goes to the middle. One cool way to go to the middle, of course, this is a nice factory from Rock, because it's got a radar here. Send a couple of arty, kill a couple of point defenses, and get that mass. It's really worth the time. And also one thing that's important is how much air people make, and what they go with the tech to air, tech to land, because both are quite powerful in a map that's spread out like this. Tech to gunships are very strong, but you gotta really make them pay off. And tech to land, of course, can shift the battle in one of these sides. And Crazed is all about using this adjacency. Looks like going tech to land already. Not too much on the air spam. Upgrading a couple mass corrections tech 2 though. And early on, this game has been quite quiet here at 620. Once again, Crazed appears to be choosing the SimCity mode. They're already upgrading. And Crazed also going in. He's the first one to get to the middle with some artillery, and once he breaks through that, he's got some engineers standing by. Should give him a huge advantage. So Rock needs to be realizing that Crazed isn't attacking him, which means he's got to do something. Although Rock also upgrading. And Rock, one of those players that can upgrade very quickly. It's definitely not one of his weaknesses. Although in last game, of course, we did see Crazed exploit his early map advantage to do that. And this mech marine here has just been standing, waiting for an engineer to come in, which hasn't happened, and neither player really making a strong move to the sides. If this was, imagine, Voodoo, he would have already had a transport and trying to grab, because there's just so much mass that you can get if you establish a foothold. But it appears neither player really wants to invest the concentration or the resources into building up a weak position. Tech 2 engineer now. And actually yet another Tech 2 factory. This is going to be one of the cheaper ones. This is the HQ for Crazed. You can see for EEF you can't really tell that it's HQ unless you see the health. I was seeing Tech 2 mask extractors everywhere for Crazed. And actually let's check out the reclamation. Imagine nearly 9,000 for Crazed, Rock 6,000, so significantly behind. And you can see these engineers here getting all that reclaim. And after 8 minutes we really haven't seen too much action. Not a lot at all. We've seen a major Tech 1 land spam without any adjacency. It's straight from the original base of Rock, and it's taken a long time to even get into the battlefield. This could be one of the major mistakes that Rock's making so far, because by the time those Tech 1s get into battle, finally that McMarine dies, you've already seen a Tech 2 force being built up by Crazed. Crazed now with Tech 2 power. And this artillery continues to take out Tech 1 point defenses. And here it is, 2 engineers make it to the middle. Crazed is going to have huge amounts of mass, and now that he's got Tech 2 power, I imagine he's going to have a lot of Tech 2 mass extractors. He already has a lot. And here, after 9 minutes, both players over 100 production already. And you can see 6 Tech 2 mass extractors already for Crazed, 14,000 reclaim, 2,000 in the bank. Rock is sitting at 2 Tech 2 mass extractors, 1,400 in the bank. So Crazed appears to be winning this one without really firing a shot. All about eco, so it is what it is. I think this is where it pays off to scout and realize what the other player is doing. Here comes some cruise missile launchers. Of course, it's much more difficult to realize what they're doing just from a scout. Crazed did make quite a few land units as well. It's just that he did not really use them to attack. And now major attack at Tech 1 through the top. On the bottom we're seeing a whole bunch of pillars. Pillar, very special tank, 1,500 health for 200 mass. I believe that's as good as it gets, at least at the Tech 2 stage between any faction. Here come cruise missiles though from Rock. It's gotta do something. And now finally an engineer to the top for Rock is going to try to utilize those mass extractors. Also some engineers to the side. And this is something that Rock could have probably had this entire game. And that could have really evened it out. Meanwhile, these cruise missiles have hit their targets. We're seeing some dead Tech 2 mass extractors. Also Tech 2 factories here that can be killed. Of course, 300 mass for that secondary factory. I'd say it's not that big of payoff for 180 mass enemy cruise missile. So you can see it is a bit of a nerf to cruise missiles. Very minor nerf. And now this Tech 1 force is actually quite successful. Seeing emergency Tech 2 point defenses here. Tech 1 probably be a little better. On the other side, this is now a very serious pillar force. This will absolutely demolish any Tech 1 force from Rock. Meanwhile, we're seeing the Cyber and Tech 2s attempting to defend against Tech 1. Also some Tech 2 moving in. More cruise missiles taking out secondary Tech 2 factory. Some TMD going up for Crazed. Crazed diverting quite a few units to his really weak. Oh, this is really bad. He's actually, this is the HQ for Rock. Going Tech 3 halfway into Tech 3, so a major investment that is under really heavy threat. Crazed. Yeah, he's gonna take that out. That's quite a few thousand mass lost by Rock there. And I don't understand why Rock did not go into the middle. Crazed is a huge advantage, although in terms of map control, slight advantage for Rock, but he might not be able to hold on to it. You can see so much more mass for Crazed. And here the pillars versus Manti. Manti need to run away. Although this artillery, these Medusas, is doing a good job. Here, minute 13. Finally seen some action. You could say Rock really has had the worst of it. The Tech 2 stage, the pillars have done good things, and actually just the Tech 1 force did quite a bit of damage, taking out a half-built Tech 3 HQ, although leaving quite a bit of wrecks for Rock, and not taking civilian mass has been a major mistake for Rock. Although in terms of power, yeah, Crazed leading by about 600, not too much air at all. And Crazed now going Tech 3 of his own. So it looks like the plan for Rock was to get faster Tech 3 after those cruise missile launchers, but Crazed, realizing there was a weakness there, and moved in. That could be one of the reasons the Rock didn't really have a lot of Tech 2 presence, even though he had 2 Tech 2 factories. And great awareness from Crazed. And now the pillars taking out the freshly built mass extractors of Rock. On the other side, Rock still has the benefit of 5 Tech 1 mass extractors. And Crazed now nearly doubling the mass production. This is almost painful to see here. I'll actually speed this up. I think Rock is going to have to try to get victory in the next round. I don't want to count him out here, minute 15. But such a big advantage in terms of mass for Crazed. Although here, seeing the reclamation, 30,000 for Crazed. I mean, his ecos, he can do whatever the heck he wants. Rock has actually reclaimed 30,000 as well. And now we are seeing Tech 3 land. This is the HQ. Some loyalists on the field. The Tech 2 engineer is going to move in. He's going to grab all that expansion to even out map control, but impossible to make it even without taking mid. Rock with a major Tech 2 point defense build up here at his expansion where the ACU is. And this is now Tech 3 engineer from Crazed. And Crazed running everything over up on top. And nav control now firmly in Crazed favor. But this Tech 3 for Rock needs to do something. If Rock can break through on the top, which is basically just Tech 1, Tech 2. Seeing, yeah, this is basically a pillar spam. But of course now with the NG mod, if you have a Tech 3 HQ on one side, you can make a pretty cheap Tech 3 factory on the other side. In the past, if you wanted to make Tech 3 on either side, you needed to make 2 very expensive factories and transport the units, but now you can make it much cheaper, and it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen. You can see this Tech 3 is being built up very quickly. Let's check out how much that costs. 750 mass to get Tech 3 land. That's cheaper than actually a Percy. Yeah, so it's a major difference in this game. Something to really think about, what those costs should be. I'm usually conservative about these things. I think it's some great ideas in the engine mods, and some form of it should be implemented. But those costs perhaps should be a little more expensive on those secondary factories. Because now I can see it's 3 Tech 3 factories here from Crazed, and he's just going to be making Tech 3 land like it's cheap. Of course, you might make the argument the reason you couldn't do it in the past, you had to make engineers and pack your engineers in the correct fashion. But it's really this travel time that's not accounted for. However, Rock now making pretty good progress with his Tech 3. Other than that, we do see Percy's for Crazed. And these are just loyalists, but it's a major loyalist spam. Yet another Tech 3 land factory. Let's see how well these Titans and Percy's can do. Not sure exactly what they're in. Looks like they're going to move sideways to provide support. Some unkilled civs are gonna take a pretty big hit from Tech 3. And I think here, yeah, so Rock is moving in with his artillery. He's not gonna assault directly with the Loyalists. He's gonna get his RT in position and begin shelling this position. He's also built a wall anticipating a fight. But Crazed here, just so much more mass production. He's got a whole bunch of Tech 3 mass extractors now. He's got 5 Tech 3s. While Rock is sitting on, looks like he's got at least 2 here. Yeah, he's sitting on 2. So way behind, and now the Percy's for Crazed. And once again, a very good decision here for Crazed, putting all of his forces sideways, not attacking on the right side. And actually here it could be a lost opportunity for Rock, although this is that pillar force. Very difficult to attack that. And now with some Tech 2 point defenses here as well, but yeah, it looks like Rock is now going to try to attack, but it's a bit late. And perhaps even without those point defenses, it couldn't have happened. Rock has now retreated beyond his wall. Once again, cruise missiles now for Rock. 3 missiles. So you can do volleys of 3. Let's see how well that works. The top has been cleaned by Tech 2 from Rock. And on the bottom, convincing victory here from these pillars. Really didn't lose many units. He's Tech 2 point defenses, 17 kills and 8. Major setback for Rock on the bottom, so the bottom is firmly in Crazed hands. Top is still a battle that's not really clear. That's where most of the Tech 3 forces are. A major loyalist force. Also a lot of artillery that perhaps should be in play. Now some bricks. But here we see volleys of 3 missiles at a time. 3 missiles, of course, is 540 mass. And it looks like they're going to go after these Tech 3 factories, which are 750 mass. So the effect of those missiles, it's 750 mass versus 540 mass. Not that big a victory, but it will slow down the production of Crazed slightly. Now here comes some shields. So those 540 mass was basically just thrown away into a shield, knocking it down. So not a huge victory here for Rock. Yet another volley coming in. And the shield's back online. Almost killing the Tech 3 factory. And it's another missile. 750 mass killed. Of course, that 750 mass is left a nice wreck, which will be cleaned up. So you can see it's not really a loss at all. Taking out the HQ, on the other hand, would be very nice. And when you're fighting UEF, it's much more difficult to spot it. It's right here, and here comes a Fatty Mirror 22. Crazed now with huge power advantage. He's now nearly tripling the power. He actually is tripling the power of Rock, which means Tech 3 Air is definitely something he can go for. I believe he's still at Tech 1. Let's see how well that Fatty does. And now Percy's versus Tech 1 here. It's going to be another loss for Rock. Rock has moved all of his loyalists to the bottom. See how well these do. This is a nice loyalist force. Fatty, yeah, this is a lot. Percy's. So Percy's very good against loyalists. Although loyalists, when they die, they should have that EMP blast, which you can't freeze a Percy, but they got to get close. And it's very difficult to get close to this many Percy's. Although quite a few of these are Titans. Titans are going to be thrown ahead. See the Percy's just dying. A couple loyalists need to get close, and they can actually freeze a couple of these Percy's with one death. But we can see it is just basically a whole bunch of dead loyalists. Not a chance. And these loyalists are going to retreat into the pillars. And even the pillars are going to have some success at all. Although not too much. Some of the pillars do survive. Up on top, As expected, Percy's run everything over. And the one thing that's a little disappointing, we did not see those artilleries from Rock really in action, hiding behind a wall here. Yeah, now they're going to move back out. They should put some pressure on Crazed, although Crazed standing by with some mobile missile launcher platforms. Very nice counter. There are only 400 mass versus 800 mass for an artillery. They also don't have quite the range. And yet another missile flying in. Attempt to take out these Tech 2 mass extractors, so minor damage. It looks like the Loyalists are going to go on top. They will take out this position. A couple Tech 2 point defenses. More Loyalists are dying. Yeah, this is where Loyalists are really, it's a bit too late for them. It's all bricks, stealth, and artillery for Cybern. Yep, and this is nice. This is where Cybern shine. And this is now a truly Tech 3 force from Cybern. These are all bricks. This is something to respect if you're Crazed. Oh, this is a nice Percy force coming around the side, and is there enough units here to defend against it? If Rock was to have this position fall, and this is a nice bypass of all these walls that Rock has built. And some bricks aren't going to be moving back now. And it looks like these artilleries with a stealth field have been abandoned, and they're shooting these Tech 1 mass extractors, something that doesn't really matter. Meanwhile, the Percys are going to pull back. So good move here from Crazed. He is basically surrounding Rock, who's in an inferior position, and these arties, this is going to be a tragedy. They're going to be absolutely massacred. Quite sad to see them go that way. That's because the brakes had to come back to try to protect the base. Artillery was left. On the other side, the Fatty is finished in protection with Percys. Rock's sitting under units that can't do anything about a Fatty. And actually, Crazed is beginning to move directly at Rock's ACU here, minute 28. Rock is in huge trouble. Fatty's also moving in that position. And all these bricks are stuck on their own walls. The only thing that's saving Rock now is that the Percys are so slow. But now the Fatty is going to have direct fire on Rock. Rock will realize he needs to run away. Yeah, Crazed on both this map and Ambush Pass played quite safe and played it with basically better eco. The maps that he's chosen played quite safe, but was aggressive when he needed to be. And with the superior eco, it just makes it much more easier to win. And actually, it looks like Rock making a nice push here against these Percys. They are going to die. We're also seeing Fire Beetles. This is a great unit to use against Percys. The suicide really helped speed up the cleanup process. And here we're seeing this base where Rock was just get absolutely erased. We're seeing an air fight, some Tech 3 from Rock, so he's going to win it. There is quite a bit of Tech 3 anti-air from Crazed helping it. There's also some Tech 2 flak and Strat bombers attempting to stop this force. Meanwhile, Rock running back home, trying to make as many Strat bombers as possible. Getting the victory up on top, given that all these Percys moved in to try to kill Crazed ACU. ASF from Crazed as well. Actually, Rock catching up in terms of power production. But there's enough ASF, looks like, for Crazed to kill these Strats. Strats using stealth, so they're more difficult to spot. Of course, it's easy to spot a unit that's dropping bombs on you. And they anticipate these Strat bombers to die here pretty quickly. More Strat bombers for Rock, not too much ASF, and this Tech 3 force leading ahead in front of the Fatty. Some bricks coming out for Rock. And there's nothing there to stop this deck through force. And that's going to be Rock's main base, getting ran over. Rock, meanwhile, having some success on the other side, but this is not a major loss for Crazed. He can take that loss. He's also got some Titans standing by. Meanwhile, this really hurts, and this is nice. Some flag for Crazed. These gunships not living for too long. Rock with some tech to point defenses. And this is just way too many Percies. Take 3 power, take 3 mass extractors. Even if Rock survives this is just too much to take. And while Rock's brick force making progress. And there goes Rock's ACU. Pretty good game, but Crazed really controlled it from the very beginning. Hope that people enjoyed it, and now Rock is 1 game away from losing this challenge, and Crazed beginning a set of defenses. Hello and welcome to Emerald Crater. Map haven't seen too much before, but it is on the ladder currently, and this one actually chosen by Rock, so it's a must win for him. If he loses, Crazed has his first successful defense in this run. Rock on first, land, 2 mass extractors, 4 P-gens, and this map quite difficult to play. It's a very large map, and you don't have too much mass, and you don't have too much reclaim. And actually, to get from the starting position over to the mass extractors over here or over here takes quite a bit of walking. And it's basically a game of building small bases in different places on the map. So air is going to be critical. Map control is going to be critical. Intel, and of course on this one you can hide troops outside the radar, especially at the Take 1 stage. Very difficult to know exactly what's happening on the map. Of course for us, we can see everything. Will be quite easy. Gray's going second air. Looks like he's going to go right after the Hydra. Just with a single engineer here. It looks like it's going to be second air with 5 P-gens instead of the usual 7, and that's because there is a Hydra here. Also some reclamation on a tree, so it's an interesting build there from Crazed. Rock, meanwhile, is also going to go second air. He's got a couple more engineers getting the Hydro faster. And we'll also see how these players choose to expand. This could be an interesting game to watch for players playing the ladder currently, because usually you're given this map and you have no idea what the heck to do, because you got to play very differently from how you usually play. So Crazed here is going to finish the Hydra a little later, and he's actually going to get a couple more P-gens before he gets his air factory. Sorry, that was, yeah. So now currently exactly the same power production. Air factory going up for Rock. Rock choosing to go to the left. Rock's moving out to the sides and in the middle with some scouts. Could be an advantage for Cybern against Seraphim. Crazed going back to his original faction Seraphim that he had in the first game. And now finishing up the air factory. So identical ecos here, not surprisingly. Could be a slight advantage for Crazed. In terms of expanding engineers, we see an engineer going to the middle, protected by a tank for Crazed. That could be an advantage. Also, an engineer moving sideways. That's a little faster than the engineers for Rock. And this difference of 2 mass, this is going to last for quite a while, could turn out to be a very nice advantage. And here we're going to see the first kill. It'll be a tank against a scout. Let's see how far this tank goes. It's now going to go sideways. This engineer is going to get some very important mass extractors for Crazed. So let's see how that works out at this point. Plus 13 for both players, so 6 mass extractors each, and these are the closest 6 mass extractors. But here comes the transport, and this will be a very critical transport for Rock. It appears he's going to attempt to transport directly to this expansion. He has a scout there that should be able to spot this interceptor, and then Rock should probably not fly there. He needs to see this and not fly there, because if he loses that,
he's in quite a bit of trouble. Actually, his transport has major plans and Rock not paying attention. And this is not going to be good, although he's got interceptors. So perhaps he is, so he's anticipating to take some shot to the transport. But he thinks he will be able to protect, although that interceptor gave very critical intel. 3 engineers successfully dropped off. And a very similar situation here for Crazed, although he's a little later. And there are some scouts there. So Rock not changing his plan, and now he's got 3 more units. And those are actually attack units. That's a Mantis. And he's also going to send a Mantis to the top corner. This Mantis will probably deny that engineer. But now also a successful drop for Crazed. And the ACU is really far apart from each other, so going in this clock direction. Although now Rock will spot that transport. So very similar gameplay. A little faster for Rock, but an advantage for Crazed in the middle. And now, of course, this is going to be a lot of mass extractors. It's going to be 6 mass extractors. Already got a factory going. And now factory going up for Crazed. And let's see if Rock tries to do something about this. Maybe some bombers. Now a successful Mantis. We'll be waiting for engineers. It looks like Rock will try to do drop off on the other side as well. So far Rock actually appears to be getting an advantage. Except now there was an air fight that Crazed has an advantage in. A couple interceptors lost, perhaps more interceptors moving into the fight from both players, but still Crazed with the upper hand. And now a successful drop. Rock decides to drop off directly behind the base. Will deny a couple mass extractors. With these side expansion, neither player really successful. One engineer that's really close to being successful for Crazed will be spotted, but really no weapons to do anything about it. Been nice to see more bombers in this one from either player. Now this will be important. Crazed moving in with a significant Tech 1 force, although there are some Tech 1 point defenses, and a major land spam being planned by Rock. Rock with a significant mass advantage now. And his transport's still alive, we gotta say. Crazed losing that transport that dropped off of these engineers was a major loss. And now a Jester. Looks like it's a lot of the power is going to be concentrated here at the original base. Pretty big air spam. Quite a few engineers on that factory. Let's see what the Jester can do. And what happened to this engineer? Just got a radar and 2 mass extractors. Should be able to see this Mantis. So let's see what Rock puts in that transport. And let's see where is the ACU for Rock. Left the factory. Had a small expansion. It's got a bunch of engineers now. And while the ACU for Rock is now in the 9 o'clock position. Crazed is almost in the 3 o'clock. This Jester, no kills, has been spotted. It's going to be a bit unfortunate. A really good Mantis is going to deny a couple of mass extractors. Jester trying to run away, but has been spotted. Nobody in the bottom corner. It looks like it'll be a drop. Some tanks and engineers, and that's those tanks are going to protect the engineers against the Mantis. Good move from Crazed. Don't send your engineers into unknown without protection. Protection will take care of this issue. Now perhaps a battle. A mass extractor loss for Crazed. He'll rebuild it. But it looks like there should be numbers here for Rock pretty soon. He's getting yet more. Actually an anti-air turret here for Rock. But he's really focusing a lot of land build capacity here on the left side. A lot of his power is at the main base, and he's still got really nice air spam. He's actually behind in terms of power, so that could be an issue for him. And here a force from Crazed pushing up ahead. Rock hasn't really expanded at all. Sideways to the right is always expanded to the left. And here a successful drop from Rock, some engineers, although this has already been taken. And are Crazed with a significant advantage. A little better at grabbing expansions and denying this right side. And actually going into the middle as well. Rock will try to get a secret base, a couple factories and a radar. But he needs to get some victories denying expansions. And let's see how far this transport gets. Yep, it's going to be, he's going to try to build behind Crazed. But Crazed significant air advantage because he's got that power advantage. So any direct air fights will be victory for Crazed. Crazed forces a strange position. And now we're going to have a fight in the middle coming up. And if Rock just runs in here 1 unit at a time is going to be a loss. And it appears that's what's going to happen. A lot of engineers moving to the middle for Rock. And here actually with this factory it's going to make some artilleries. Rock could be in a good position to deny this. There's also of course a hydro in those expansions. And this is important. A couple tanks sneak in behind. Crazed. Pushing back, and this is a gesture. And this might precipitate a fight in the air. And whoever loses that one is going to be in a very bad position. So perhaps Crazed is not going to risk it. But Rock needs to take care of these tanks. And this is the map where you get so many things happening in different positions. It's whoever can do more bad things to the other player is going to be at the advantage. The engineers plus some artillery moving in. Appears that Crazed is not really paying attention. So let's see if this Medusa can target the right unit. It will be these engineers in that factory instead of these mass extractors. And now, yeah, this is a bit of a disaster here for Rock. And now we got Ilsha's Tech 2 land on transports from Crazed. Where is this Tech 2? Yep, here's the Tech 2. And Ilshavas are very fast. So Crazed now with a very good unit. Will counter the Siren quickness at Tech 1, and at Tech 2 each Ilshava is basically 10 times better than Mantis. This will be a big loss for Rock. Rock moving in through the middle. He's also got engineers there, so Rock is in a position to grab a lot of mass. And meanwhile, Rock is also going to take over this top left corner, and he has engineers in position that are building. He's in a position to take over the top right corner as well. So in terms of map control, Rock is actually beginning to get a good position. He is still behind in terms of air, and he's behind in terms of tech, because this Tech 2 land factory quite dangerous, and Tech 2 power for Crazed. This would be a great target for Rock if he could get to it. This Elsha with 5 kills did not finish this factory, which is a bit sad. A couple engineers are going to grab those 3 mass extractors very fast. But now a Jester versus Elshava. And Crazed choosing not to be aggressive with the Tech 1 air, perhaps playing it safe. Rock needs to find out he's going to take care of that Hydra. And this could be a very nice base for Rock. Have a stream of units attack directly at Crazed main base. Crazed, of course, with some Elshava as his main base as well. This is where NG mod. As soon as you get a HQ anywhere for a price of 300 mass, you can begin to make Tech 2 units anywhere on the map. Of course, 300 mass is less than the cost of an Elshava, which is 360 mass, I believe. So it really neglects the need to transfer units. This is one of the reasons I think allowing Tech 2 engineers to only be produced in HQ factories will be good. That way you actually have to transfer the Tech 2 engineer instead of just building a Tech 1 factory, paying 300 mass, and be able to make Tech 2 engineers. I think it kind of takes away a bit of the strategy, because putting units in the right position is one of the most important things to do. But I don't know, some people don't see it that way. This is a major Tech 1 force is going to take out these Tech 2 factory, just 300 mass, but an Ilsheva, with enough micro, this Ilsheva might actually be able to take on this whole force. And so far, just getting a lot of kills. Here it's not moving. 53 health, and it finally dies. Appears there's been a counterattack in the middle. Ilsheva's in support as well. And Tech 2 flag. This could be very bad. This could be one of the most important Tech 2 flags in the game. Rock's Air Force very close to it. It's got to be very careful not to fly over it. And Crazed, beginning to move it closer and closer to the Air Force of Rock. I do not want to lose air, and Rock responds very quickly. Rock finally drops the first units we've seen on the bottom right corner. Rock's finally going to grab those. Probably could have had them for a long time. It looks like it's going to be a drop directly at this base. That transport is going to die. And a drop right next to a couple Ilshevas will not be very effective. It looks like Rock's finally going to take over the top spot. Rock now has more mass production. This is about half of the power production. But he's got to deal with Ilshevas running basically all over the map. And this is the power of the Ilsheva taking on multiple Manti. He's definitely not going to lose this one. Cybern don't really have that equivalent Tech 2 stage of fast unit. Tanks are kind of fast, but they're not as quick as the Ilsheva. The hoplite really, I guess at range, can deal with the Ilshevas, but a very different unit. And now major push directly through the middle. But all that Crazed has to do is put some Ilshevas in front of these Manti, and they're going to get massacred. Perhaps it would be better for Rock just to move these in different directions, trying to deny map control. That's really where he's got an advantage. He's got a lot more of the map, and he needs to just continue to chip away. And running in with this force directly at all this Tech 2 finally, he's going to realize there's no way he can win it. He'll pull back, denying those mass extractors, denying those mass extractors. All good options. Here an Ilsheva with 3 kills. And this Tech 2 flag here is a very annoying unit for Rock. Imagine Rock now going Tech 2 with air. Tech 2 gunships would be very nice, because definitely Crazed doesn't have flak with every single one of his forces. But the more Ilshevas Crazed gets, the worse the situation is for Rock. Although Crazed can't really afford to let Rock sit on so much more map. Although now in the middle, this could be a very important force for Crazed. Although Rock also has some units, they just need to organize. Rock denies this position, needs to get some engineers. Should be moving over there. And of course this position, this is a lot of artillery for Rock. They could move in, deny these couple mass extractors, also mass extractors behind Crazed base. Well, now these Ilshevas just running through. And quite a bit of teching now for Crazed. Actually, no, it's just one Tech 2 mass. Yeah, he's got a bunch of Tech 2 power generators. I'd love to see him change that, convert that into air, but it doesn't look like he's really making that much air. He's got a couple air factories. And he's got nearly 1,000 excess power that he's not really using. So perhaps a bit surprising, given that we do see Tech 2 air and gunships. So interceptors are going to be very critical for Crazed here shortly. And actually Crazed a bit dangerous with his ACU kind of out in the middle of the field. There is a bit of Tech 2 flak there. But now, yeah, this is now a lot of Ilshevas for Crazed, and it looks like he's going to try to assemble a single force here together with the ACU. It's going to have a lot of flak, so it won't be countered by gunships, and that force will probably be able to take anything on the map that it wants, but of course it won't be able to take on the whole map at once. also leaving this very important base, taking out these Tech 2 powers and the Tech 2 mass extractor with some gunships will be very nice. The one thing that Rock does not want to do is attack directly against this force with so much anti-air present. Now Rock beginning to assault the main base of Crazed. And Rock really, in terms of mass, a significant advantage. And what did these gunships? The gunships went back home. It looks like Rock is just going to spam up as many gunships as he can. Perhaps he'll attempt to get a snipe going against Crazed. Instead, these gunships can do quite a bit of damage elsewhere because Crazed has a lot of air and flak in position. I don't think it's going to be enough gunships to kill that ACU quickly. It's a Tech 2 ACU as well. And here it looks like it was a bit sad for Rock. He could have killed quite a bit more. Good defense. And this force here, yeah. I want to assume it's just a misclick there from Rock. And now this could be very bad. Rock with his ACU getting some Tech 2 point defenses, but a big Ilsheva force moving in, protected by flak as well. And perhaps Tech 1 point defenses here instead of Tech 2 would be a lot better. And Rock really needs to survive this, but I'm not sure if he will be able to. Some overcharges would be nice. These gunships trying to stay away from the flak, which is kind of behind, but here comes the interceptors. Major air fight. Rock is now going to be surrounded by Ilshevas, and where are the overcharges? A couple good overcharges would have been great, but Rock not targeted. And I think a bit of a sad end to this one. Crazed was in trouble, I think. Was in a big deficit in terms of mass. Rock underestimating the power of the Ilsheva. We just did the very simple thing. We found the ACU, walked to the ACU and killed it. See a lot more red on this map, but Crazed for a successful defense in this set of defenses after taking the title back from Zoc last week, and hopefully next week will be great. Of course, Lucian has already signed up, and we might see a Lucian versus Crazed final in week 24.